Alright, g'day guys. I want to give you an updated review on the Sierra ZR behind me. We've had it for 11 months now and we've given it a proper testing all around Australia. We've done about 60,000 Ks, which I suppose for caravanners might not seem that much, but the 60,000 Ks that this thing's done has been incredibly tough, and it's got a massive rap sheet. It's got 5 Simpson Desert trips under its belt already. It's got 2 golf trips, one of them in the build-up, extremely hot, another one at the end of the wet, extremely wet, boggy, just tough. It's got 2 fishing trips to the eastern Kimberley under its belt. It's been around the West and East McDonald Ranges, and it's done the Beadell Roads from Ceduna up to Port Hedland, including the Simpson Desert, the Great Victoria Desert, Gun Barrel, Gary Highway, Connie Sue, all of that. It's done a couple of trips up into the Victorian High Country, and it's just come off the back of nearly 2 months on Cape York. Now there's nothing that we haven't tested on this van. We've tested its dust proofness, we've tested its reliability, we've tested its toughness, we've tested its off-road ability, we've tested everything possible that you can test on a van. I don't think anyone would have ever tested a van this hard in that short a time. So I've got to tell you a few things that we found that perhaps we didn't like, and then a few things that we actually really like. Shut up. Yes, you. Righto, first thing, going to go through a few things that I would change. Then I'm going to show you some things that I love, and I'll give you an overall review on it. Now, first of all, for me, when you're in the tight stuff and you're having to reverse up and get around things or get into a tight camp, particularly if you're on a track and you're trying to get around an obstacle or a tree and you get a bit hung up and you've got to reverse, the gas tanks on the front really hinder the angle, or the jackknife angle, whatever they want to call it, you can get the trailer on before it starts to hit the vehicle, especially the 79, it's so overhung. So I would definitely get a drawbar extension, and we were offered it when we ordered the van, but I didn't take it. But I wish I did now, because I would be able to get on a much better jackknife angle and get around tighter things if I had that. Sounds counterintuitive, longer drawbar, tighter angles, but it just means I can back up a bit harder on it. You can see we've hit the gas protective things a couple of times doing that. This hatch here collects rocks. Like, I could go into mining rocks. Rocks just end up on top here, and when you go to open it, you can't really open it all the way because it's full of rocks. Now I could have a stone stomper on and all that stuff, but for me, in this style of van, I'm not interested in running a stone stomper. It's not a caravan. So anyway, that one there, that's a bit of a funny one. Nearly all the Ks we've done would be dirt roads or then really, really tough tracks. So stones have given this a proper peppering. Obviously that's pretty ugly. What can you do about that? Well, you can put a stone stomper on, but I don't want to do that. I don't know, I would probably put some kind of checker plate or rubber, thin rubber, or whatever, just to maybe change that style, but it's no big deal, it's just cosmetic. Now in any off-road van, anything that sticks out on it is going to get collected at some point. So that's dust covers, electrical covers, whatever, door handles. So you can see the doors are all flush, but the door handles stick out a bit. I have seen where you can get them flush, but on these they stick out, and I have ripped one off there. Obviously when I did this was a little entry into, I think that was Cannibal Creek on Cape York, and she went hard over on its side and dragged that and popped that off. Also lost the lights on there because they stick out as well, and that was Palm Creek. But it can happen anywhere, just a little slight loss of concentration, tree or a branch or something could knock that stuff off, but no big deal, we can put that back on, it's all good. These front support arms here, obviously you do use those when you're not hooked up to a trailer, Yeah, I'm not sure what you can do about that, but they've taken a real beating here. Obviously, both of them are bent. I'm not even sure if they work anymore. They might. Yeah, probably not. Anyway, they've copped a bit of a beating. Now, I want to go back to the drawbar length. There's another reason why I want to extend it. First of all, it's the jackknife thing. Second of all, that I don't love, that I've had to really think about, is the ball weight. Now, to be fair, we did move a lot of stuff forward. Now there's a 140 litre water tank under here. We have a fridge in here, a freezer over there, and we had the spare up here. And you can fit a lot in this front storage. Problem is when you do that, our ball weight was 247 kilos. And that is a lot of ball weight, especially for a trailer this size. Now when we filled up the rear tank, 60, it obviously pulled a bit of ball weight off and we got it down to 234 kilos, fully loaded. That's a little bit much for me, so I've had to try and move a lot of things out of here that weren't so heavy. I took the spare off there, but also believe if we extend that front drawbar, it's going to take some weight off the tow ball as well. So that is something that I would also have given me reason to extend it when we bought it. One thing for me that I really struggle with, it's only had one service at AOR, and that was at about, we missed the 2,000k service, it was probably 10 or 15,000 k's. So in the last 50 odd thousand k's, it's not had a service at AOR. And it hasn't been a drama, but my wheel alignment is way out and it's flogging tyres on the tar. So I don't want to put on my good Mickey Thompsons, I'm just running whatever I could buy along the way. This is some good ride thing, and there's a Grand Track over there. And what's happening is it's just wearing the tyre out quick, but I really struggled to find anyone to do the wheel alignment on it because for some reason they have to tack weld all the camber and caster adjusters on the suspension arms. Otherwise they say they move and they come out of alignment. Thing is with that, someone's got to grind the welds off, adjust it, and then weld them back on again. So for me, that's a real bugbear that I don't particularly like that, and hopefully they fix that or change that down the track, because certainly I don't think it should have to be like that. The kitchen, well, we mentioned the kitchen on a previous thing. You know, you've got your stove, you got that out, and you want something out of the drawer, and it's a bit of a pain. I've gone through that in the first review. That still does bug me a bit, but now you're used to it, you work around it. You just work around it. The little Thetford stove, that's a bit of a beauty, that I like that. I would like more bench space. I would like this refined so you can get the drawers out. You know, perhaps this was up and the drawers were under it, and then there was another slide out bit on top of the drawer that came out and gave you a bit more bench space. A little bit more bench space would be good. The fin scan, which is like the BMS, the battery management system in there, and it takes the charge from 240, solar, 12 volt and all that. They're an Aussie made product, they're kind of new. It has given us a bit of grief, but we've managed to work through it with them. I still like it, I just love it to be fixed and working properly, and hopefully the guys at FinScan do that, because it is a good product when it's working well. You don't get a lot of kitchen cupboard space, especially when you're on big trips like we are. You're always trying to find space and juggle stuff around, and it's good, and there is a bit of space there, but there's no sort of drawers or cupboards or whatever, and stuff does fly around in there a bit, and we're still trying to figure out some good ways to keep everything in there. It'd be nice to have some drawers perhaps that pulled out, or some little things across here to stop stuff falling out, you know, whatever. We put some drawers in there, just plastic ones, that makes it handy and stops stuff flying everywhere. But it would be good if that was a little more, the kitchen I think could just be a little more usable, really, I reckon. The rear support arms, I feel like they're a bit of a last minute thing that got knocked up and thrown on there. obviously they're there for when you unhitch, you put them down so the trailer doesn't flip up like that. Well, I can tell you, we used them once and never ever used them again. They've taken a bit of a beating. This one's broken, it's cable tied on and stuff. I haven't found them necessary at all, so that's maybe a good thing. Probably don't need to put them on any more of these trailers, but anyway, that's that. The mud flaps at the front, which look, when I first seen them, I really liked them. They're big, thick, chunky rubber mud flaps to stop stones getting up under the trailer. But I think it's important to note that the 60,000 Ks we've done in this trailer would be the lifetime of most customers. Most people are not going to rack up the 60,000 Ks that we did in 11 months, particularly on the tracks that we've done them on. All those tracks, the Simpson and the Beadell Roads and up in the Kimberley and the Gulf, Arnhem Land. We did the touristy thing at Kakadu and Cape York. We do all the tough ones. So people aren't going to rack up this much sort of testing it really until a lifetime of owning the van. Right, so that's some of the things that I've found that I would like to probably change on it. Some things that I love about it now. First of all, the Aussie built, made tough reliability. There's a lot to love about this little trailer, so I'll go through some of it now. The stuff we've put this trailer through has been extremely tough. Now, I'm talking about the actual bulk of the trailer, the chassis, the water tanks, the electricals, how they're mounted, the body of the trailer, you know, none of that has really failed or come apart on us. We haven't had welds fail, we haven't had doors come off, we haven't had anything break, and when you get under there and look at it, it's still tough as and you know, in really good order. So that built tough Aussie made thing for me is absolutely unreal. I really like that. Off-road ability. You gotta come close to giving this thing a 10 out of 10 for off-road ability. The one thing that lets it down though is that drawbar length and that ability to be able to get real tight and back right up on it and jackknife it. This here gives you 40 degrees of departure angle. Now I've had this thing on angles that it should be on the ground or it's nearly tipped or whatever. I've never ever, you know, come down and had it on such an angle that we've hit the back here. Yeah, we bounce off things here and there, particularly because we're the test dummy on a lot of these hard bits. We'll look at them, do some stuff, drive them, then fix them for the guests, and they come through with little damage, but we take a few hits. But it's off-road ability, almost 10 out of 10. I'd like a longer drawbar so I could get a bit tighter.
Bring it forward.
Coupled with its off-road ability and its toughness and being Aussie made, the payload on this thing when you buy it dry is massive. It's like 900 kilos. So that allows you to add heaps of stuff, and it allows you to utilize the storage in this thing, which is ginormous. The storage cupboards, you can see them on the website and other places. I won't show them to you now, but they're huge. You've got heaps and heaps of cupboard space. I love this area up here. This area on the rooftop slides forward. Sometimes I'd like the back a bit higher or the front a bit higher, but it all slides forward. It's a huge area. We had our spare on there for the trailer, but I got rid of that because I run the same rims or same studs as the cruiser, so we just carry the two on the cruiser. But up here, I can carry on a mid-trip 20 max tracks covered in mud, got my shovels in there. We can chop up a bunch of firewood, we throw that in there, and we'll drive all these tracks. You don't even have to tie it down out there, you just throw it in and go. It is probably the area that I use most on a trip. It's a fantastic area, and I don't really see any other trailers offering that kind of space. So really love that space up there. We love our rooftop tent. Now this is obviously an aftermarket thing. As with a lot of the stuff on the Sierra, we put the Rhino Rack batwing awning on, which for under $1,000 a great awning. If you want a real good one though, check out the Bush Company awning, same as the rooftop tent. I love that thing. I can pretty much stand up inside it. I know I'm not very tall, but whatever. I can pretty much stand up inside it. You know, it's lined with marine carpet, it's got pockets, it's got power outlets in it. It's got the little veranda. It's a great rooftop tent for going wild camping and complements the Sierra really well. We've got 2 projector 135 watt solar panels on the roof, and with the 200 amp hours of lithium battery, when it's sunny like this, we can run our fridge on this side and our freezer on the other side, which is what we do. Fridge here, freezer over there, and the solar will just run that thing on its own. We've also fitted a projector 2000 watt IntelliWave inverter. It's their top of the line model. Comes with a remote screen on here. It draws very little power when it's turned on with nothing plugged into it, and it runs our little pop-up kettle here. A bloody beauty. Charges me laptops, charges all me electric saws and stuff. Super quick, it's really efficient. So I love that inverter in there. Yeah, well, finally then, when you go on bush, you should never ever compromise on your chair. Your chair's got to be big, it's got to be comfortable, it's got to recline. It's got to have a table for your coffee in the morning and a table for your beer at night. Where do you put it? I'll show you. I'll also show you these. These boxes, storage boxes, you're always looking for them. These are from the Bush Company again with the tent. No, we don't get it all for free, we pay for all this stuff, but I really like the gear that we do buy and use, so I'm showing you. Cool thing about them, they run really durable, and they because they're nice and square and they're tough, they don't take up a lot of room. And in the back of my cruiser, I'll have them 3 or 4 high, just stacked like that. They don't come off. So that's what we put most of our stuff in. And it also just leaves me the perfect height in there for my chair. If you're worried about weight with your chair, I just recommend just leaving some water out or something. Don't compromise on your chair. Overall, it is a super tough, reliable, hardcore off-road camper trailer, this thing. There's a few things I'd change, but all the things I love outweigh all of that, and it's a bloody beauty. The price also is astonishingly good value. So if you're looking for a hardcore Aussie made off-road trailer, check out that AOR Sierra ZR. It's a beauty.